गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गाना शॉट। गाना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Today we are going to talk about Iran, Israel and the nuclear football which is going on in the Middle East. Now, why did I make this headline as nuclear football? I made this new headline as nuclear football since if I'd made it as Iran-Israel war, YouTube would have banned this video. And that's how YouTube is. So to get around that, it's nuclear football. But having said that, there is some kind of nuclear football going on out there. And to discuss this nuclear football with me is Brigadier Rumel Dahiya. Sir, good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. You're going back on this
Thank
channel after a long time.
Thank you, sir.
I must introduce Brigadier Dahiya to all of you because for the first time he's coming on a one-to-one in this manner. Brigadier Dahiya is one of the most outstanding officers, in the Indian Army, right? And he was the Sword of Honor in IMA in his course, the topper of his course. And later he was the defense advisor, the defense attaché to Turkey. So having spent some time in Turkey, he knows the entire Middle East very well. And I think he's one of the foremost experts of this particular area. And today we couldn't have had someone better than him to, discuss this topic. In fact, I must tell you that in the morning during when I was explaining the initial story of the podcast as it was coming, he rang me up and he said, "Look, are we discussing this?" I said, "Yes, we'll discuss it in the evening, and I'll take your expertise in the evening." Right. So what we'll do now is, sir, with your permission, I'll just put everyone through the paces of what's happened, a small presentation, and then we'll open up for discussion and analysis thereafter. With your permission, may I start, sir?
Please, sir, please.
Thank you. Right. Look, this is what we are talking of. Look, at the outset, I must say this, and I've been saying this anytime I discuss this. Iran's nuclear capability is not a matter of if, but when. Okay. We know the layout of Iran, everything, and what's happening. The Israel Hamas, we know there's an overview of the Middle East and the status it is. Israel Hamas conflict is ongoing at this point of time. The Houthis are still active. Hezbollah has been degraded. Syria is in complete disarray. And not to mention the fact that even Turkey is in some kind of political problem. Right. And we're looking at a weakened Iran. Russia and China will come to its political support. That's a given their political and diplomatic support, given their equations, right? It's economically weak at this point of time, having suffered a lot of sanctions. And it has an air defense which has been knocked off. And after these strikes, I think more would have been done. We'll talk of it. But let's put it this way. Iran sees nuclearization as the only option for its survival and going ahead as a big power. It considers itself as a big power. Israel sees nuclearization of Iran as existential threat to it. And a nuclearized Iran is not acceptable to many. When I say many, to the West, USA in particular, and a lot of Gulf states. It's basically a fundamental problem of the Shia-Sunni divide, and Israel was a Saudi Arabia problem. Also add Turkey to this mix. Now, today morning, when the attack started, Benjamin Netanyahu gave a 7-minute speech. We'll just hear the first 2 minutes of that speech because it sets the tone for what we are going to do and what has happened so far. Right. I'm not going to go further because I think due to some glitch, the audio of Benjamin Netanyahu is not going through. But let me recount what he has said in the main thing. That Israel has undertaken Operation Rising Lion. And they're stuck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program, their nuclear program, their weaponization program, enrichment facilities. They've also hit nuclear scientists and ballistic missile program. He's also made a point that Iran today has the capability of making 9 atom bombs, and they've got the capability of putting one almost immediately. These are main things. And he says, look, that's virtually an existential threat for us, which I had said earlier, right? So, and for those of you who've seen the morning thing, it's the same audio, right? Once I do the thing, probably in the end, I'll insert this audio back, but that's a later day story. Okay. Now, where all did Iran attack? Or where all was Iran attacked by Israel? They hit at Tabriz, they hit at Kermanshah, they hit at Arak, they hit at Natanz, Isfahan, Tehran, right? All these are known localities where either uh, Iranian nuclear facilities are there or the military facilities are there. Now, so far reported that three Iranian generals have been knocked off, and there's three senior generals of the IRGC. They've some reports say two nuclear scientists have been knocked off. Some reports say three, but they're all people who are the top minds of Iran's nuclear, program. Over and above that, there's a political entity called Ali Shamkhani, who's an advisor to the supreme leader, who's been knocked off, or he's critically ill. We don't know what's happening. This is what has come in till about an hour back. More might come. And what Benjamin Netanyahu in that speech had said is, this is only the beginning. More will come. It's not a one-day affair. It's going to follow up. So we're going to be discussing this over a period of time. Right. When you look at the nuclear facilities and everything, you see this is the map, the nuclear map. The green ones at Bonab and Ramsar are the research reactors. Tehran also has got a main reactor. There are uranium mines at Sagan, Yazd, and Gachin. Parchin is their main military base where a lot of their AD weapons are there. There are nuclear sites at Arak, Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan, and Bushehr. And out of this, there's confirmed news that Natanz has been attacked deeply and Arak has been attacked, and of course, Parchin, Tehran, and all that. But what's interesting is, like this is the summary: 6 military bases around Tehran, including Parchin. Natanz has been targeted, but there's no indication of anything happening at Fordo so far. And Fordo is there, it's a deep underground uranium enrichment center. There are doubts whether Israel has the capability of hitting such a deep center, because for that you need the B-52 bunker buster bombs from America, right? This leaves a question mark, and we will talk of this a little later. Will this strike take out complete Iran's capability to develop a bomb? Okay. Now, there's also news, right, that Mossad had set up a drone base near Tehran. So something has gone into Iran and operating from Iran. The drones were activated overnight, striking surface-to-air missile launches which are aimed at Israel. Vehicles carrying weapon systems have been smuggled into Iran and have been used. Mossad commandos have deployed precision missiles near anti-aircraft sites in central Iran and have hit. So it is not just air attacks and missile attacks, for which, as of now, the details are sketchy. They say they have used about 200 jets, but there is a Mossad operation happening within Iran, which indicates that Iran has been penetrated quite deeply. And this has also been seen earlier when Fakhrizadeh was killed and Soleimani was knocked off, assassinated 2-3 years back. The Israel Defense Forces have said their control over the whole situation because Iran retaliated with about 100 drones, and Israel is fighting it out. And so far, no damage has been reported. Now, there's a singular IAEA report, that is International Atomic Energy Association report, which says that Iran was not complying with its nuclear non-proliferation obligations. This came out 2 days back, and this precipitated the whole thing. And it has said that Iran has consistently failed to provide information about the undeclared nuclear material and activities at multiple locations. So that gives us a question: does Israel have the intelligence about all these undisclosed locations. And Iran has also said it would launch a new enrichment center in a secure location and replace the first generation machines. So this plus the issue that Fordo site has so far not been taken out. So far, the operation is ongoing, raises some questions and things for discussion. Like, what's the US status? The Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated tonight Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in surgical strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel has advised them that they believe this action was necessary for its self defense. It indicates that America was in the loop of Israeli action, right? President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target US interests or personnel. That's a very clear warning, as clear as that. And to some extent, USA says this is not instigated by us. And USA does not want to be seen as having endorsed the Israeli action. And Trump has gone on record to say Israel cannot have a nuclear bomb and will hopefully get back to the negotiating table. And he's given this statement. I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. And this came out late in the afternoon. Make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told. That the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world. This is a direct threat from Trump also, apart from whatever Israel is doing. By far, and that Israel has a lot of it with much more to come. So he's going to supply Israel with whatever capability Israel needs to do the job, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they don't know what was about to happen. They are all dead, and now it will only get worse. There already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter. Uh, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal. So there is more to come as per Trump's statement. And it must come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is too late. God bless you all. It's a threat, coercion, whatever it is, to get Iran to the uh, negotiating table. And he's promised that more will come and it will come through Israel. Okay, having said that, these are the dilemmas, and these are some of the dilemmas which we'll discuss. Can Iran be bombed into submission? Will Israel suck USA into battle when trade war is raging? Mind you, there's a trade war on with China. Let's not forget it. Will Israel or US put boots on the ground? There is indication that Israel has put some elements, but they are not boots on the ground. They are just infiltrators or covert action groups. Can a deal still be negotiated after all this? Will Iran get back to a negotiating table? What are the options with Iran? Will Iran close the Strait of Hormuz? Will it hit the Gulf states? Will it hit the American bases? There are 10, 12 bases there. What is the China Russia factor in this whole deal? What is the India Pakistan factor in this whole deal? It is there. This is something, and I may add that we are the closest to a nuclear war as we can logically think of, or at least in my lifetime, what I've seen after what has happened between Russia and USA. I don't think we are closer to a nuclear war than this, right? Even in the recent Op Sindoor, I didn't feel that we will go nuclear, but here the chances are more. Okay, I have spoken enough, and I'd request Brigadier Dahiya, sir, all yours. Sorry for this longish kind of introduction, but I thought I'll set the stage for the whole story. All yours, sir.
Thank you, John Shankar. And I think this was most useful primer to put all of us on the same grid, and to bring out the challenges that we all face today. Now, going by the questions that you have framed, let's take the first one. Uh, can we have this question? Can Iran be
Yeah.
bombed into submission?
I'll
Now,
keep getting it back, sir, as whenever you
yeah,
finish it,
that's right.
I'll get the video.
That's
Yeah.
right. So, can Iran be bombed into submission? Let's have a few things clear. Iran is too big a country, and America is too far away. There's no way that Iran can be occupied by America, leave alone Israel. That capacity doesn't exist. Yes, Iran can be bombed, and it not only can be bombed, it will continue to be bombed for quite some time. I'll tell you the reason why. You see what is happening in Beirut, despite Hezbollah being decimated almost totally. Now, there are many people in Iran who will be afraid, the scientists, the decision makers, the senior military leaders, who will be afraid that they might be the next ones. And Israel will definitely be seeking the opportunity targets. When they come to know about some people moving from place A to B, some material, critical material being moved from place A to B. And it's very humiliating for any country, particularly for Iran, which has always prided itself into being a robust defender of its own interests, and has had quite a lot of say in the Middle East by use of proxies and all that. To see that its high levels are infiltrated. You see, it wouldn't have been possible for Israel to kill Haniyeh there last year, to kill senior most nuclear scientists one after the other over a period of time. And some people say that even the previous president was his helicopter was down because of Israel's interference with electronics and things of this nature. So all this wouldn't have happened. And yesterday, what has happened? Although Israelis claim that they had been gaming the Iranians, watching as to how they react to various developments, news, etc., and they somehow manipulated their IRGC Air Force senior lot to come to their operations room, and then continued flow of information which kept them there long enough for the missiles to go and strike. They also say that quite a lot of explosive material and drones, etc., were pre-positioned next to the bases, etc., and they managed to succeed that. And that Israel's relationship with Azerbaijan has something to do with it. They have kept their material there for a long time, and in fact, despite deep antagonism with Turkey or Syria and other issues, both of them, Israel and Turkey, had supported Azerbaijan during the latest war against Armenia in Nagorno-Karabakh. So Israelis have equity there. And Azerbaijan, despite being Sunni Shias like Iran, and despite the fact that even Ayatollah Khamenei is Azeri by descent, Azerbaijan doesn't enjoy a good relations with Iran. So probably all this has come from there. It's quite possible. But it is also surprising that after what happened in Russia, I'm talking of Operation Spiderweb, after that also, if the people weren't careful, then obviously there is a lack of capacity and lack of capability to take care of one's resources. Secondly, last year in October, when Israel launched strikes on Iran and Iran retaliated, quite a lot of air defense sites were destroyed by Israelis. And since the replacements are not available readily, and even Russia could not have supplied S-400. They haven't even been able to meet, the contractual obligations towards us. Iranian air defense was also degraded quite a lot. It has been further degraded yesterday. Now, which goes to show that Israel is likely to continue operations as and when it sees the opportunity. Now, Iran has suffered quite a lot, and it is humiliating that its senior military leadership has been threatened. And many other people will be operating from bunkers rather than operating openly hereafter. And the 100 drones that were fired by Iran today, I'm told that Israel has managed to shoot them away from its own areas, somewhere in Syrian territory, etc. And Jordan, of course, has also shot down some of them, like they did in October last year also. So Israeli capacity to attack more targets in Iran exists, and they are likely to exercise that precisely because, as of today, seeing Israel's behavior over the last couple of months, they are not bothered about the international reaction. They are absolutely clear in their minds that they are the only man in a boys' club. Uh, that international reaction doesn't matter at all, and that they are also not bothered about how rising oil prices, etc., might hurt the economies of others. They say others need to take care of their own problems. We will take care of our problems. So they have framed the whole attack into existential crisis for themselves. Although it is hard to believe that Israel is a victim here. I don't believe Israel is a victim here in this particular case. Now, of course, it is very difficult for anybody to objectively say whether Israel is right or wrong in assuming that nuclear threat by Iran is is an existential threat for them. Everybody is within his own rights to think about its own security, and Israel may have a point there. Uh, but I don't think that Iran can be bombed into submission, so to say, although at the same time it has limited opportunities, limited capability to carry out a proportional response in this particular case. And that makes things very difficult, both for Iran and for others. As to if Iran cannot get an off ramp by striking proportionately, then what is the off ramp for them? Off ramp is other off ramp is surrender. Oh, and the third off ramp, of course, is defiance despite damage, and to carry on till as long as they can.
I think there's a fourth option for Israel. I'm sorry, Iran, which, despite I mean, apart from what you said, and that is, what if it has already got a bomb and it starts saying so, or at least it goes overtly or covertly nuclear? Because by no stretch of imagination can we think that whatever Israel has done will completely wipe out Iranian capability. Do you think at some stage
I
it will
mean,
start playing this?
it's a very simple logic, not complicated at all. Uh, the contrasting examples of Libya and North Korea are rather recent. I mean, people see that Kim Jong Un struts like a like a pumped up cock, and Gaddafi went into a deep trench just 4, 5 years, 6 years after foregoing its nuclear option. So it's for there for world to see. And Iranians have a historical mindset. They can't forget such kind of things. And let me tell you this, that even if Israel kills 100 generals and many more scientists, they can't take away the knowledge and the capability that the Iranians have. They can keep hunting them one after another. At some stage, they'll get tired. Iranians won't get tired. It's a matter of time before they go nuclear, because if if Iranian bomb is a matter of existential threat for Israel, not having a bomb is an existential threat
Also,
to Iran
yeah,
today,
I
considering
think
what has
that's a very
happened to Iran.
important point. I think that's a
So
very important
therefore,
point you have made. I would like to repeat it if you don't mind. Look, if a Iranian bomb is an existential threat for Israel, not having a bomb is an existential threat for Iran. I think one of the most defining things to understand this whole story going forward. So, sorry, please go ahead. I couldn't resist
well,
getting in when you said this.
please, please. So the question is that they will go nuclear undoubtedly, and when they go nuclear, Turkey will go nuclear, and Saudi Arabia will go nuclear. And that's what explains Erdogan's love fest with Shehbaz Sharif and or Pakistan in general. That he
Yeah.
will like to keep Pakistan in good humor, so that Pakistan gives them the nuclear weapons at the earliest. Although there must be secret things going on already, this thing. But I mean, he'll get nuclear the moment Iran goes nuclear, but they'll give an excuse to others. Now, the question here is this: that if Iran continues talking to America under the circumstances when its own response has not been proportionate or strong enough to Israel, they'll be seen to be talking under duress, under showing a sign of weakness. And for a regime that hasn't really been seen to be strong for the last couple of years since Soleimani died, since Syria went away from their hands, after Nasrallah went away, after Hezbollah was decimated, I think the regime itself will find it extremely difficult to live down with a negotiating position. Although, under times of crisis like this, people rally around the flag, even if they disagree with the leadership. But the fact is that they can't show weakness. Now, as far as America is concerned in this particular matter, it's a very, they are in a very sorry state, I must say. Now, there are various viewpoints. One viewpoint is this, that America has been part of the planning process for this operation. We know that Obama tried to stop Israel from attacking. Netanyahu has always been for saying that, look, either you attack or let us attack. Let us permit us to attack. Obama didn't let that happen. Uh, Joe Biden didn't let that happen. Uh, Trump, on the other hand, by the very fact that he cancelled out the nuclear treaty with Iran, and has been saying during even from the campaign time that look, either Iran comes to the negotiating table and signs on a dotted line, which means forsakes nuclear option altogether with zero enrichment, and also long range nuclear long range missiles. Unless Iran does that, then Iran will have to pay very heavy price. He has been saying that. Now, sometimes he talks Iranian people are great. They have a historical perspective and all that. That doesn't mean anything from Trump's point of view. Trump saying something like this doesn't mean a thing. So the very fact that he is on one side, he has said that he is a man of peace and he wants to finish wars. I mean, unfairly taking credit even for avoiding a nuclear war in the Indian subcontinent recently and repeatedly without shame. So the very fact that he has taken that position, obviously, he himself ordering attacks on Iran would not really be taken in the right spirit by the people. So I'm sure that despite his bravado and all that, he's still rational in thinking. At least his self-interests and his self-image is important to him. So that wouldn't be right for him to do that. So what does he do then? He lets Israel do
Let's
this.
Iran, yeah, Israel
And
do
today,
the
his
whole thing.
reference to 60 days, that I gave them 60 days. On the 61st day, the attacks takes place, means that is all well coordinated. And if you
Yes,
remember, in the first week of April, 6 of the B2s
we're
out of
shifted
the
to Diego
20,
Garcia.
Diego Garcia, out of the 20, that 30% of the entire force went there. And
It's
we
still
all
there.
know
It's still
it's still
there.
there. It's still
Yeah,
there. And it is these are the this thing aircrafts, bombers, which can carry two GBU 57 A's and B's on board, which are those deep
deep.
penetrators. Uh, yes, I mean massive ordnance penetrators, as they call them, with
Yes.
13,200 kgs each, which can go to any depth. This thing, and so which also means that he is positioned two carrier groups in the Persian Gulf. So obviously, all this is orchestrated. All that is he knows. I mean, he knew about it. He admits himself that he knew about it. In fact, the Wall Street Journal came out with a story that a couple of days back, even the targets and the prioritization of targets and the order in which they will be attacked was discussed with the Americans. So they knew the whole thing. They let Israel do this and still claim that, look,
That they
we
are.
are not part of the game.
Yeah.
We are not
Okay.
part of the game. And part of the thing is they have also deployed additional Patriot batteries in the Gulf area where their troops are deployed. 25,000 odd troops there which are deployed.
Yeah.
So they withdrew their non-essential people from the area. So they knew about the whole thing absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt.
Secondly, Secondly, Israelis use a bit of a deception in this case also, which is not unfair. In war, deception is part of the war. In fact, they said a couple of days back, they said Netanyahu will be traveling north and he will be out of Tel Aviv. They also said Netanyahu's son Avner will be getting married on Monday. So they did what the Egyptians did to them in 73 war. They did that to Israel it is now. And in any case, on Monday, on a Friday, that's today, there was a talk scheduled between America and Iran in Oman. So, and America was saying that, look, I hope that there will be progress made during these talks. So, obviously, all these probably people think that this was to lull the Iranians to believing
Iranians, yeah.
that war may be imminent, because they had noticed Israel carrying out absolute preparations. F-35s had been moved to secondary air bases. And their sort of mid-air refuelers, etc. And they carried out
Yeah.
exercises. And so they were getting ready. So if they were getting ready like this, then obviously Iranians would have got a wind of it. But they thought that it may be a couple of days away. But it seems that America was showing interest in talks, but was not really interested in talks, and they were more interested in Israel carrying out this kind of a thing.
Attack.
So, but what has happened in the process? That many people believe, and many in America believe, that Israel has shown thumbs to Trump.
Trump
Trump had told them not to go to war, but they've still chosen to go to war.
to the war.
Trump has not been able to stop them, and Trump will not be able to stop them later. So this will be
Yeah.
a big geopolitical casualty as far as Trump is concerned. I mean, America is concerned. People will
Yeah.
not only not believe them, saying that they didn't know they were not involved, but people will also simultaneously say that they do not have the heft, they do not have the authority to stop Israel from going and attacking Iran.
Yeah. That's the next
So
question. Will
therefore,
Israel
there
suck?
are many casualties going.
So it leads to the next question. What you said. Will Israel suck USA into battle when the trade war is still raging? Will eventually USA have to step into this as a war and start using its weapons?
Look, Israel has been able to do all this, and whether America gave them a green signal, or let us say, let's give a benefit of doubt to America, that America still told them don't do it. Let's give them a benefit of doubt. But then fact is that the Israeli lobby is too strong in America. Let's face facts. I mean, I'm not beating about the bush or making bones about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
They
yeah,
are
that's
strong,
okay.
and whether it's Democrats or Republicans, they bow to their wishes somehow. So that is one part. But putting boots on the ground, getting involved themselves, I think is a different kettle of fish. As far as first is it contradicts Trump's self-image that he has tried to cultivate of a man of peace, and not sending American troops in harm's way for somebody else's war. So it'll be difficult for them to do so. Secondly, the language, if you see Rubio's language, and the last sentence that he says, do not try and harm American troops or American interests, which means that, look, we are not interested in getting involved ourselves unless our own, unless our own troops or our own facilities or own, assets are targeted. Now, question is whether Iran will do that. I think that will depend on the calculations that Iran makes about how much punishment they are ready to take. Now, dilemma here is this for America, that if one of their bases is struck, Qatar, difficult because Qatar is more friendly towards Iran. I mean, it
Iran,
also
yeah.
talks to them. Qatar is nobody's friends, but it's
Yeah.
a troublemaker for everybody. But at the same time, they still have a better relationship. So they may not hurt. They may do so in Saudi Arabia or in Bahrain, maybe. Bahrain may be the easiest target. They may do it. The question is, what does America do? If Iran gets them there and America goes in and attacks, now in that case, America will have only option that America will have to is to employ B2s, have those deep penetrator, massive ordnance penetrators to destroy Fordo and Iraq and all that kind of a thing. Because without that, other things Israel is carrying out in any case, so they don't have to supplement that. So they will have to get involved with that. So they do it for a fact. But the question then is that they'll make sure that the very next day, Iran walks out of the NPT, declares that
Yeah,
we are abandoning ABT, and also declare that we will make the bomb irrespective of what happens. And then, would America like to live with the calumny that they force Iran
to
into a
go
nuclear
nuclear.
club? So, will America like to take that risk? It's a perceptual risk. It's a globally everybody will be blaming America for pushing Iran into that kind of a situation. So far, America can avoid that blame and put that blame on Israel if necessary. But if in case America gets involved, then they will have to do this. They have to do two things: use B2s, use those bunker busters, and at the same time have this blame on their head that Iran has gone nuclear. Iran will definitely renounce NPT and declare that they'll go nuclear.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair statement. Iran, if you push Iran to a corner further, all Iran will say is, "I'm walking out of this whole deal. You do what you want with me. I'll build my thing." And I'm like you said, I'm also of the opinion there'll be something which Iran has hidden away from all these chaps, and which these
Absolutely,
chaps can't get, right?
absolutely.
And that will be the danger, right? Okay. So now let's get to the third question in this whole story. I mean, we're going right. We've all said, okay, will US Israel put boots on the ground? We've already answered this question saying, no, it can't be done. Let me put this question to you, or I think this needs discussion. Can a still can a deal be still negotiated given what we have spoken so far and what has happened?
Question is what deal?
Yeah.
Uh,
What about the deal?
as far
You can define the deal, you can define the deal, and you can define the
you see,
circumstances.
some people believe that Israel pressurized America into letting it go ahead with this attack because they did not believe that America can get a deal which will prevent Iran from going nuclear ever.
Yeah.
And their calculation probably seems to be that by neutralizing Natanz, by neutralizing the leadership and some scientists, they would have definitely put off Iran assembling a bomb or testing it for now, for some time. Because
Yeah,
the
it'll be about
story,
5, 6,
which
10 years. After
association
that,
with Grossi, so in association with Grossi, which I personally believe that the IAEA is not really a neutral body in any case. It has never been. So, so they have been able to spin this story that Iran can assemble a bomb in 10 days' time and they can assemble 9 to 10 bombs. They have so much of fissile material. Many neutral observers, even those from Europe, and in fact, Tulsi Gabbard herself, in her testimony to the House Committee on Intelligence, etc., a couple of days back, had said that we don't think that Iran is in a position to build a nuclear weapon quickly. So, which means it is the same, like
WMD
nuclear
stories.
weapons in Iraq kind of a
Iraq.
story that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
floating around. So, so therefore, uh, I mean, as far as Iran is concerned, what will Iran sign on? Iran will not sign on a deal that there's no enrichment possible. Iran will not sign on a deal which goes in for a deeper inspection, site inspections. Because there is a theory that is going around in Iranian circles which says that it is the IAEA inspectors who have given out the details of nuclear scientists of Iran to Israel.
Israel.
If that be so, and if it is
There's no
their belief,
trust.
it may be true, it may not be true, untrue, it may be untrue. But if that is their belief, if they believe in this, then obviously they will not like them to have a deeper inspections or more interaction with their people in any case. So where do they sign on? What do they sign on? And if the people are already seeing this, Israel's and Iran's inability to respond proportionately, is people are seeing this as a weakness. Iranians themselves are seeing this as a weakness. Then why would they like to be seen even weaker by signing on a deal which takes away their, their entitlement from enriching also? Israel wants zero enrichment. Uh, uh, America has demanded zero enrichment. Uh, Iran cannot accept that. So I don't think I in fact suspect, and I hope to be wrong, proved wrong, but I suspect that Iran will probably walk away from the negotiations, at least for the time being, and say, okay, fine, what you had done, whatever you had to do, and sorry, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, okay. Now let's talk of Iranian options. After all,
Now,
Iran is a full country. It can't run away from thing. We'll get to the next one. Options with Iran. I mean, one of the options I just put: can Iran close the Strait of Hormuz? Can it bomb any, like you said, Bahrain or one of the small Kuwait or one of the small sheikdoms, or will it hit a American base itself because it can't reach out to Israel? It's unable to hit Israel, and that's proven. So, but it has many more targets around. So, what are the options with Iran? Can it have any other option? So let's talk of that, sir.
look, I think let's have game theory in play here.
Yeah, let's start.
I mean, I feel that both countries, these are functional countries. They are not broken countries. Uh, they are rational actors, and they look for reactions to their own actions, and they like to react to actions by the other in a rational manner. They have to see the cost benefit analysis of what they do and what next steps the other guy can take. So I think it's that game theory which will suggest options for Iran. One thing is certain, that if the world at large remains quiet, nobody says a thing. Uh, Iran has asked for a meeting at the UN Security Council, which nothing is going to come out of it because America is going to veto that. France and UK will probably abstain. Russia and China will probably support Iran. So obviously, nothing will come out of it.
Hey, UN is a
Then they will
toothless
say,
tiger,
okay,
so nothing's going
nobody
to
is
happen.
making so nothing, and nobody else is coming in support of them. Then what options do they have to be relevant? They'll have to do something. Oil prices today climbed by about 11%, settled down at about 8.6% higher today, higher in many weeks. Uh, if Strait of Hormuz is obstructed for some time, the oil prices will go to $100, not because there will be shortage of oil, but the speculators will make mint money. It won't hurt America because most of the speculation will come from there. So they will still make money out of everybody's loss. That's a different matter. But the fact of the matter is that world at large will suffer the consequences like they suffered during, Ukraine war. So they have options. Options they have is accept the humiliation, say, okay, damage hasn't been great, deny too much of damage, and swallow their pride and live to fight another day. Rational option when their capabilities are limited. One may find it humiliating. One may find it degrading. We may say they've chickened out and use other adjectives. But fact of the matter is that this is a realist option. One of the options to say, okay, fine. Second, launch a proportionate sort of a response, which they lack capability today, it seems, because their couple of missile sites have been destroyed. Their many radars have been destroyed. They will do that, but they'll get a even stronger response from Israel. But the danger here is another, that they may still try to keep it proportionate, but they don't have the capacity. Israel has the capacity, and making use of the excuse, they'll do greater damage to Iran. So that is another calculation. Third is, you can't harm, you don't want to get America involved in it. Let America have, sort of suffer the ignominy of world calling it ineffectual geopolitical play now because they couldn't stop Israel from attacking Iran. So therefore, they may not attack them, but they may disturb shipping in Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, etc. But that will be, and Houthis may be activated to sort of
Yeah,
do some damage in the Red Sea. The question is, effect will be limited. Only the speculators will make money, not because of the real threat, but because of the show of threat. Mm, As of today, I do not think Iran has very good options to really cause any reverberation in the geopolitical firmament.
Yeah, without suffering a loss. If it's prepared to suffer a loss, yes. Or if it decides that it should fight for another day, they can. And I think the way things are going, sir, there'll be no deal, and Iran might still say, I'm out of the deal, I'll do what I want to do. I think one of the best options for Iran is that I'll still go nuclear, I'll have my options, and no deal, you do what you want. And I'll suffer the
Only thing is
loss.
that yes, yes, that's right. That's right. Question is that, we must understand that Iranians have a lot of resilience. They have suffered so much of economic sanctions. They have suffered Iran-Iraq war when the whole of world was behind Iraq. They have suffered so much and still carried on. And they are a civilizational country. They they understand that there are bad times and there are good times. So they will probably take on this. This is my feeling. Ultimately, how the internal dynamics, internal politics of Iran plays out, whether and so there is a doubt here that if I think there are large number of Iranians, reasonably large number of Iranians who are compromised as far as intelligence is concerned, because it's not just a few people who are involved, because there's so many activities that are taking place, and still if Israelis can find enough collaborators within Iran,
Within
so there
Iran.
is a possibility that Israel might go in for the jugular, in the sense that they might even continue attacking and ask for regime change. There might be some collaborators within Iran. So the fight may be ugly, and for regime might have to make some cosmetic or real changes. There is a possibility. But one thing is certain, that replacement of commanders is not a big thing. Because all these guys who have died, they were appointed, somebody was appointed in 2006, somebody was appointed 2019, they've been there for
That's
15
okay,
years.
they'll come
So
back.
their
Someone
deputies and
will
all
come
that.
on.
So that's not a problem. They
It's a
will always find
psychological
people to
issue.
replace.
It's
In
only a
fact,
psychological issue.
the land forces commander Mosevi has already been appointed as chief of defense staff,
Yeah.
and their construction corps head has already been replaced by his deputy. So they have done it quickly. So system is functional, absolutely functional. There's not a problem. So it's quite possible that Iran might. More probable thing is that might live to fight another day.
Okay. So let's see how it goes. These are all options we right. And let's look at this. What is the Russia-China factor in this? How do these people come out? Because for their own esteem, for global prestige, especially Russia, of course, might not be able to intervene because it's in its own problems and it needs USA at some stage to close out the Russia-Ukraine war. But what about China? Where does China fit into this whole story?
Let's just look at how world has behaved in last century. Let's not even longer. Nobody wants to fight for another person unless own interests are involved. In this particular case, you have rightly said that Putin would be more interested in being bailed out, literally bailed out from Ukraine. Irrespective of the fact that they occupy more than 20% of
Yeah,
Ukraine's
that's all
territory,
minor. I think
the
they have come to a
losses
stage
that
where they're
Russia
stuck.
has, the losses that Russia has suffered in manpower and equipment and prestige are humongous. And what has also happened is that this war has made Russia heavily dependent on China, which educated Russians hate to admit. They don't want that. And one of the internal documents that seems to have been leaked out deliberately shows that Russians hate China and they consider
Yeah,
China as a big threat.
it came out last week,
So
last week.
Russia has been put into that position, and Russia would be happy to be bailed out if they can. As far as China is concerned, China, if you read Pillsbury's book, The 100 Years Marathon, you'll realize how China has benefited from America. And that China has always avoided direct confrontation if their own direct interests or direct prestige is not impacted. I don't think that China is facing its own economic problems and has very serious issues with trade. You know what? If America's current account deficit was reduced greatly in last quarter because of the tariffs, because that gave them more tax revenues. Americans may end up liking that kind of a thing and may continue with higher tariffs, thereby changing the spending habits of ordinary Americans and reducing their trade
Deficit.
deficit. And what's happening now in Southeast Asia? That quite a lot of cheap stuff which was meant for Europe and America is being dumped
It's
to
getting dumped
Southeast
there.
Asia. So the people who are recommending that India should have signed RCEP need to rethink as to what
Yeah,
is
yeah.
happening to Southeast Asia today.
Today,
And
yes.
considering that there will be a blowback someday, people there will be a blowback from there, and China is not in a very happy situation altogether. China would definitely not like to take if you use the Indian language, China would definitely like to take panga with America at this
Yeah.
moment.
Hey, not
So
only that, sir.
therefore, I
I'll
think,
just
and
want to
also
add one more thing. China is completely dependent on the Gulf oil, whether it's from Iran, dark oil, or from
absolutely
right, and
quite a lot of oil.
yeah, quite a lot. In fact, 30% or 40% of it comes from here. And if China butts in the place of to support Iran, this is my view, right? Forget Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz. US might close the Strait of Hormuz, in which case China's tail is completely twisted. Yeah, false flag
Exactly. So
operation kara do, false flag operation kara do, and sink a boat
exactly,
there and say no more
exactly.
traffic from here, and end of
Yes.
story. And then
Therefore,
China, within a matter of 10
therefore,
days, will come to its knees.
yes. So therefore, I don't think that either. And in any case, the way the world functions, the great power interactions. If you look at the history of great power interactions, they would have already talked to each other. 1973 war was not fought in Sinai. It was fought in
Yeah,
between Moscow and Washington. Similarly, in this case, Putin would have definitely been briefed. In any case, Netanyahu would have spoken to him today. Xi Jinping or his deputy would have definitely been spoken to by the Americans. So they are everybody. They all work for their own interests. They are not worried about Israel or Iran.
yeah. I go with you. Now let's spend a couple of minutes on the India-Pakistan factors. The last point which I thought we could discuss is the India-Pakistan factor. First the Pakistan factor and then the India factor. Whatever you think
You
is
know,
going, how it's going to affect us and everything.
there are some people who say that you know America intervened in India-Pakistan war basically because they wanted Pakistan on their side, and probably they already had this contingency in mind that next war, Israel is going to attack Iran, and that time they may need uh, Iran. Some people even go to the extent of saying that in case Iran attacks American bases in the Gulf, America would like to use Pakistani bases to attack Iran. I think these are very simplistic thinking. Uh, if Pakistan permits Americans to attack Iran from their soil, what stops them from permitting America to attack Chinese objectives tomorrow, or targets tomorrow? So will China like that? Will China permit that after having sunk in $70 billion worth of resources there? I don't think they are going to do that. They are more worried about, maintaining their hegemony over there rather than letting America do this. Although, I mean, Pakistan rents itself to the highest bidder anytime, so that is there, but that's a different issue. I don't think that that's a separate issue altogether. I think we are conflating things. As far as Pakistan is concerned, they have difficult relationship with Iran at times, particularly on the sectarian issues. Also, because Pakistan, having acquired nuclear bombs, thinks that that's the greatest country, Muslim country, Islamic country in the world. Iran doesn't really think of Pakistan in those terms. They say you have nuclear weapons, doesn't matter. We'll probably have someday, but then you aren't our equal or something like that. So Pakistan cannot permit Americans to attack Iran from their soil. They won't do that because even if they don't like Iranians, they would definitely not like to have a long-term enemy right on their doors because Iranians are not going to forget that kind of a treachery. As far as India is concerned, we have made a very strong statement, clear statement, and Thankfully, we made it rather early before the political opponents start questioning the government about what is your say. Sorry, what's your say in this matter? We always said, please stop this, resort to dialogue, do not get involved in this fight, don't escalate tensions. And we are friends of both, and we are ready to help in any way that we can to reduce tensions. So we made this statement because for us, Israel is a friend, and we have demonstrated that. Even yesterday, the Spain-sponsored resolution in the United Nations General Assembly, which called for immediate, full, and enduring, ceasefire in Gaza, we have abstained from it. Some people have criticized us. We are one of the 19 countries to abstain from. But we say that the conditions aren't really right. So we abstain. We maintained that position, and we have been not criticizing, neither criticize Russia in Ukraine nor criticize Israel in Gaza. Simple. But at the same time, we are absolutely mindful of of our strategic equity in Iran.
Iran.
If Iran goes, the complete Central Asian region goes from us. Even Russia becomes a distant country if INSTR, etc., are gone. So if Chabahar is gone,
Yeah,
our contact
we've invested in Chabahar.
Chabahar. So therefore, we cannot afford to sort of oppose Iran or take sides with Israel in this case. So we have a dilemma there. But again, unlike Russia and Ukraine, we have greater equities in this particular conflict. We don't
With
want
both
this.
sides.
So
With both sides.
that was not Ukraine was not our war. But in this case, we can't use the same terminology because it affects us. This
Us,
war will
both
affect
of them.
us, both
Yes,
of them, and also if the oil prices rise, again it will
it
affect
will
us
affect us.
majorly. So therefore, we are more concerned about it. We don't want this war to take place, but we will not take sides. We cannot take sides in this case.
Yeah,
This is
I
what
think
my view.
that's yeah, that I think that's right. That's a fair thing, which I want everyone to understand. Look, some of you feel that Iran should bash up Israel and Israel should bash up Iran. We in India, our strategic interest, our national interest says be stable, be
Absolutely.
neutral, right? We have deep strategic interests with Israel, equally strategic interests which we have invested into Iran. Okay, and we need Iran for Afghanistan or reach into Central Asian republics or reach into uh, you know, and that's a hedge against the IMEC not going through. So Iran is very important to us. So is Israel for many reasons, technology, friendship, and all that, right?
Absolutely.
So we don't have any bias in this. And what Brigadier Dahiya said is very important. Most of our oil comes from the east, from the Gulf, and if the oil prices go up, we're going to be in problems. So taking all this, I think we need to be equidistant from there, and we need to help them come to a solution, because I think in
Exactly.
this case, post this heat, we will have a role to play. It might not be over the board, it might not be over the table, but under the table, behind
I think we are
screens, we
best
will
placed.
have to say,
We we are best placed to do it, and I'm
do
sure
it,
we'll be willing to do it
do it.
in this particular case because it is important for us.
Important for both of us, right? Okay, so this is where we I thought we had a terrific discussion, so thanks a lot. We'll take a few questions if you don't mind, right? And there
Please.
are some interesting questions. And the first one, Rohan says, look, the younger Iranian population are against the current regime. If the Iranians don't respond proportionally to Israel, the regime will lose face, which we have discussed. Could this lead to a regime change, internal, not externally?
Well, this is a very fair question, and if you go by how the youth feels about things, and they're nationalistic, they want immediate results. They're not ready to wait for long. It is fair to assume that there can be a movement for regime change, and that's what Israel hopes to do. But the very fact that Israel hopes to do it,
Goes against the
and
regime
if
change.
some noise is made, these guys are going to rally behind the flag, rally around the flag. And so, therefore, the chances of regime survival will be there if Israel makes a bid for regime change. If it doesn't, and if they can keep attacking Iran over a prolonged period, give a bit of a gap, hit another opportunity target to make the regime feel weak and unable to respond, then there can be a serious threat for regime change. It may take a
Yeah,
little time, but there can be
but
change.
yeah, okay. Uh, and let me also put across to everyone after this event, whether there's a regime change in Iran or not, the complete naksha of this area will change because there's going to be a lot of changes which will come out of this, and it's going to affect us. We have to be very clear as to which way the wind is going to blow and how to swing into the wind, right? And that is something which we need to. That's why I'm going into all these issues. In your opinion, is the hardliner regime inhibiting Iran from getting nuclear weapons? Considering so many sabotages, would a more democratic Iran have gotten the bomb faster? The fundamental question is whether Iran should have the bomb or not. That I think that's the fundamental thing. Or will Iran be allowed to have a bomb or not?
Well, I think let's look at it simply. No country in the world, no nuclear country in the world wants another country going nuclear. Let me just remind our friends listening to this podcast that when India tested nuclear weapons in 1998, Mr. Brajesh Mishra went to France and to Russia as a special envoy of our prime minister. Uh, the French president uh, said, "We understand India's compulsions as to why India has gone nuclear. Although going nuclear is something that we do not like, but we can understand India's position." We appreciated that. And that, in fact, was the beginning of our improved relationship with France. Then Mr. Brajesh Mishra went to Moscow and he met Mr. Primakov, who was the prime minister, and he was an Indophile, incidentally. He knew Hindi, he was known to be a friend of India, and all this kind of. And Mr. Primakov started lecturing Mr. Brajesh Mishra and said, "What have you done? This you're not supposed to do this, and you have totally destroyed the NPT regime. You have done this, you have done that, and all that." Mr. Brajesh Mishra tried to convey to him that, look, we are friends. India is a friend of the of the USSR and now of Russia, and we always stood by you. We expected you to understand our concerns fully. But Mr. Primakov continued with a simple fact that nuclear possession of nuclear weapons gives status to power. And they do not want to share that status with others. They want to be part of an exclusive club. Mr. Brajesh Mishra, of course, cut short the visit and said, "Mr. Prime Minister, if I had to listen to this lecture, I would have asked for an appointment in the White House instead of coming to Kremlin." So he said that and walked away from that place. So no country wants yet another country going nuclear. So whether it is a democratic regime in Iran or it is a hardline regime in Iran, outsiders will still not want them to go nuclear. As far as inside Iran is concerned, I think the hardliners are more focused on to going nuclear. Fractious polity, democratic polity over there would not have progressed with where they have reached, despite sanctions and despite everything. If they have reached high enrichment levels of 60 to 70%, I think it is because they were hardliners.
Yeah, there are two things I just like to add. No one will allow Iran to go nuclear. But I think in my heart of heart, Iran has reached the stage where it will go nuclear, whether there's a democratic regime or a hardline regime. It's like I said, it's a matter of if and not, when. There's no, which I started. There's no
Matter
if
of
in
when
this.
rather than if. Yeah.
If का चला गया उसका, because they got the technology. Anyone who has got the technology will always make. They've got, most importantly, what people don't understand is uh, Iran has got the technology and it has got the raw material. It has got uranium mines within Iran. So you can't stop. We don't have uranium. One of our biggest problems for in our whole story is we don't have uranium. We have thorium. And we have to rely on the thorium cycle, which is not yet kick-started. It will take another 5 to 10 years to start it. But in the case of Iran, They have the raw material, they have the technology, so you can't stop them. It's a matter of time. It's up to Iran whether to swallow the bitter medicine at this point of time and wait for another day, or to go in for more destruction. It's a matter of issues, but we'll discuss that later. And let's see how it plays out. Okay, this is the common thing, which is you alluded it to it. We can discuss it. So, why was Pak Army Chief in Washington, or he's going to Washington? They said he was invited for a military parade, but there was a further agenda like Iran strike. Was there a further agenda like Iran strike? What would Pak have gained from cooperating in strike on Iran?
The Pak
Look,
Army chief
you
already
answered
come to
it. You
Washington, will be
answered it.
going. He will be going. He's been invited. I don't think he's gone already because the
He'll,
parade is
he's
scheduled for
going
later.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So the question is this, that although the Americans might sort of sound him out, so to say, basically, and if Pakistan is ready to say, okay, I will cooperate, why would they say no? But like I said before, Pakistan cannot be making this choice lightly. Iran is their immediate neighbor. Iran has potential. Iran has resources which Pakistan might need tomorrow. Energy, for example. Iran can create problems with them when Iran gets its act together and becomes strong again. I do not think, with strained relations with Afghanistan, strained relations with India, and strained relations with Iran, Pakistan can really enjoy a good sleep. Munir can enjoy a good sleep. I don't think they are is ready going to do that. Although Americans might still sound out, because what happens is for them to sound out Munir and see as to how he responds is not a bad thing. This gives IOUs. If Munir declines, they'll say, look, we favored you a couple of days back and you are now saying no. So pay us next time. If he says yes, well, it's a cheap buy. I mean, they don't have to do much to do this. So I think they might sound out, but for Pakistan to accept that kind of a proposition will be a difficult thing.
And we also have to understand, USA is playing a game with Pakistan. Okay, they will remember hereafter. I mean, I'll take this question out, and I'd like to your view also on this. Sir. Is that uh, at the whole story revolves around China. China has entered too much into Pakistan, and USA wants to edge it out. And how does USA edge China out or contain China within Pakistan? Pakistan is the new battleground between USA and China, and for this is one way. They will not get a base to go and hit Iran. That's out of question. But they'll use Pakistan land to monitor Iran. They will use Pakistan land to monitor Afghanistan. They will use Pakistan land in some form or the other to keep tab on China. They will use Pakistan and its minerals because there's a load of minerals in Balochistan. They will put their hands on it.
Oh,
They will
you'll be
not allow.
surprised. $900 million have been sanctioned by World Bank and the International Finance Corporation for mining efforts in Rikodex in
Record.
Balochistan. This is yesterday's news.
Yeah,
So is this in addition to what World Bank had done previously?
World Bank. Yeah. So that thing, Trump has a nose for minerals. He is going for minerals in Balochistan. The moment he goes for minerals in Balochistan, and China is also vying for it, and Balochistan, whether you like it or not, whether Trump likes it or not, the Pakistan likes it or not, China likes it or not, the Baluch people have gone beyond the edge. The way I look at it, they are no more interested in doing the normal thing. There's no political settlement out there. That's going to be a bugger's mess. And USA understands this, and they want their feet in there. Okay, so there's a lot of things going, and to a large extent, I would like to reiterate: I'm very happy China has entered into Pakistan for only one good reason. Whether it is for Asif Munir or this or that, I couldn't care a damn, because on the alternative, China would have taken over Pakistan completely, and we could have done nothing. We could have done nothing about it because we were doing nothing. Now just think. I'll spend a minute, sir. Sorry if I'm right. Everyone says that J-35 from China will be given to Pakistan. Will China give it now that America is into Pakistan? They'll never give that J-35 to them. Do you think America will give anything to Pakistan? They'll never give it. And this is where our safety valve has worked. So, we have to look at things from a different angle. And if you have anything to say, sir, you're welcome to say. After that, I'll close the show.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks a lot, sir. I thought we had a terrific discussion. We've gone into a lot of things which is happening. The action is ongoing. We still don't know what's going to roll out, but we can generally make out what's going to happen. We've looked into the future. We've looked into our own story. We've looked into the Pakistan story, the China story, and the Russia story, which is going on. One thing I'd like to mention at the end. People say USA is declining. Remember, it is not. It is still playing the game. It is the king in this chessboard. It is dictating the tempo. No one else is coming in between. So we have to be clear as to how we position ourselves in future for many things. Right? I'll leave it at that. We can discuss it on another day. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot once again. Thanks a lot to everyone who's seen this program. If you like this program, please press that like button. And I would request those of you who have seen this program to join Gunner Shot as subscribers or as members. You're welcome. And I look forward tomorrow morning. We'll discuss the Pak-USA relationship in relation to what's happening in Iran. Thank you. Good evening and Jai Hind to all of you and Jai Hind to you also, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Bye bye.